You are listening to episode 15 of The Bastards of Kingsgrave, the longest running podcast at the intersection of A Song of Ice and Fire and everything else. As usual, this is Amin, and I'm joined 1 year later by a couple of our well-known guests.
This is Katie.
This is Michal.
And I'm Stephanie.
Okay, well, it's good to chat with you. I think the last one we did was about a year ago, right?
That was June-ish.
Yeah, like the Korra finale.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to
Good
mention anything about Korra per se, like just in terms of like how you feel now about it, or when do we know when it's coming out, season 2?
We know nothing.
Nothing.
Oh. Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to talk about the comics today, but actually the most recent comic, The Search. Does someone want to describe it?
Basically, it is the first part of a trilogy of comics describing Zuko and Azula's search for their mother and Zuko's parental crisis.
What was it? The Zuko Blackfire theory, or?
Yeah.
The crisis for the throne. If we want to give it a lemon cake rating, I feel like I liked the first issue of The Search more than I liked all 3 issues of The Promised combined. So I will give it a lusty 4.5. Meow.
I'll give it, 4, maybe 4 point whatever is between 5 and whatever.
We can divide it into quarters too. So
okay, so 4 and a quarter. 4 and a quarter. Yeah. I mean, I actually really did like it, and while reading it, I felt a lot more like I was reading a real comic and something that like made sense both in the Avatar world and as a general story. Whereas there was always something a little awkward about The Promise. And yeah, I thought it was well written. I'm not super keen on the big mystery at the end, but I thought it was really well done.
I gave it a 4 as well. I think about a 4. I mean, yeah, I liked it more than The Promise, although I thought The Promise ended well, and I think there is potential here. And I don't know if there's. I guess we'll get into this, but I don't think that Zuko is like a bastard or whatever. I think that's something else. So.
Stephanie.
I'll give it like a 3 or a 2.5. I don't know. I'm like I like The Promise for the most part. I was just constantly face palming at a lot of the choices they made in the first volume of The Search. It just like I don't know. Like I'm more hesitant to wait on like what's going to come next though.
What made you facepalm? I'm curious.
Just the reveal at the end is just such a stupid soap opera move.
I mean, do you think it's
this is the working under the assumption that it is a red herring.
Yeah, and if they introduce it in the first volume, I don't see how it could be anything but a red herring. I mean, maybe I'm just so disconnected from Airbender at this point that I don't care if it's true or not, but I mean, what most people have been saying is it kind of renders Zuko's whole journey in the series kind of moot if it turns out that, he's not Ozai's son.
Yeah, there's just like that it's overplayed, like you have like this bastard parent or this like evil parent, and then surprise, they're not your real parent. It's just ugh.
Well, it gives him like a convenient emotional out that feels really dishonest. Like, oh, don't worry, your evil father is not really your evil father. You have, Tom Hanks on an island with a beard, talking to spirit wolves, Castaway style. Akeem, Akeem, he's a fine character, whatever. But a big theme of what they've set up in the comic already, and what a big theme kind of I think in the show is like, how much do you owe your family, like your blood family? And I think that comes up in Korra as well. Is you have siblings, you have parents, and maybe they're awful to you, but do you owe them loyalty? Do you owe them kindness and compassion, even if they don't show it to you? And you see Zuko struggling with that. And if it turns out that Ozai is not his dad, I don't know, it feels like it's too kind. I mean, Zuko's been shat on for most of, his existence, but still that feels like too much of a fairy godmother coming in and saying, don't worry, you have a loving father who, communes with spirit wolves in the jungle.
I thought it was somebody else mentioned it as well. It's kind of like Tywin Tyrion. It's like
Yeah.
I want him to be the son. It fits it better. If it's not the son, it's like almost justifying the treatment he got. I think Ozai is the type that if he actually thought it wasn't his son, he would do more than burn him.
Because there's a great one of the best scenes in The Promise is when Zuko goes to talk to Ozai, and Ozai tells him that story about when they went on vacation, and Zuko was indecisive about, I don't know, like the hawk and the crab or whatever, and he gets swept out into the water, and Ozai goes out and he saves him from drowning. And like we know, and Zuko knows, that Ozai is a horrible person. He's this guy who burned and tried to kill his son, but at the same time, there is this, I don't know what to call it, like a lingering affection, not affection. It's like if you're a child who is abused by your parent, there comes a moment in your life eventually where you have to reconcile that maybe that parent was the person who changed your diapers and fed you food when you were a baby, who also, beat you when you were a teenager. And for Zuko, it's clear that he's troubled with that. He doesn't know how to respond to his father. And so, yeah, to take that away, that bond, it's almost like he no longer has to deal with Ozai as this complicated person in his life. He can just say, "Well, you're not my real father. I can just treat you like a prisoner." I'm not saying that he would, but it simplifies that relationship in a way that's not really appealing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that, like, oh, it doesn't matter because emotionally he was still his father and blah blah blah, and I'm just like, but there is that, like you said, Katie, that like easy switch off. If he's not, I mean, it happens to be. I kind of think that I disagree with you guys. I think that that Ozai is not Zuko's father at this point in time. I hope I'm wrong, but I agree. And also the idea that he could not be a blood relation to Iroh, like, yeah, whatever, it's not important, blah, blah, blah. But, like, no, Iroh and Zuko, like, that's, like, there is an importance of blood relations. And, like, yeah, I don't know. I also like that whole, the whole dragon imagery from Avatar, was so well done and so well encapsulated the idea that like good people can be related to bad people and that happens, and it's not, like neither is like says anything specifically about the other. But yeah, and if I don't know which way to say it. If it's not true, or no, if it is true that Zuko is not Ozai's son, then yeah, that kind of fizzes a little bit.
I just don't see how Ozai would have tolerated Zuko or his mom being alive if he actually knew about it.
Yeah, it's just
he's really interesting at this point, and I don't know if they're going to keep him completely flat if Gene Yang has any interest in developing his character. But he seems like, I don't want to say he had affection for his wife, but it seems like he tolerated her in a way that was not completely evil. I mean, he didn't let her send letters home, but he didn't burn them either. He kind of just put them away in a chest. I don't know if, like, I don't. We could talk about whether or not Ursa is going to show back up again and whether she's going to reunite with him. But I wonder what is Ozai's fate at the end of the comic? Does he just stay in jail for the rest of his life? Smiling evilly.
Well, he gets a boisterous roommate, prisoner, and certain things develop.
We know that Zuko stays the Fire Lord because of Korra, and so we know that, I guess, even if he was a bastard, maybe his claim to the throne wouldn't be completely jeopardized. I mean,
yeah, I just think it's kind of stupid if that letter at the end of the search is supposed to be something to discredit Zuko, because, like, Azula threw the Agni Kai.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into this what if.
Let's
assume that they accept it or whatever, or like if this is even true. What would happen? The dance of the dragons. And then, because I was writing down in the document, and just it seems like Zuko has a lot of support now from the mainland, which is kind of interesting because what he did for the mainland, it would be like the hardcore nationalists that would go with Azula.
But he has a. Did you read the May comic, the 8-page May comic that came out on?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I don't think so. What was it about?
It was 8 pages long, and it was basically about May working with her aunt in a flower shop in I think in New Dao, or is it Blossom Say? But basically, she she goes on a date, just kind of, to brighten her day because she's kind of still busted up about Zuko.
Yeah.
And her date takes her to kind of like a underground meeting about these, what do they call themselves? Like the New Ozai movement or something.
New Ozai Society.
Yeah, the new Ozai Society, and it's led by her father, and they're basically saying, your boyfriend is changing too much. He's a traitor, and we're going to try to overthrow him. And Mai eventually she turns on her dad and kind of takes her little brother and goes back to her aunt. But it's obvious, from that. It's worth reading. It's for an 8-page comic, it packs in as much character and story as you could hope. But it's clear that like he's not completely Zuko. He's not completely supported by people in the Fire Nation, and you see that too in the Promise. He almost gets assassinated 6 times or something.
Yeah.
So if he is a bastard, and that is true, I don't know. I can't see it becoming a political thing. I don't think that's what I feel like. The Promise was the political comic, and I feel like The Search is too personal for them to take it down the political route. Like, I don't think we're going to see like the courtroom scene where they're like, what is the true heart of the Fire Lord? Is it blood or is it goodness or something like that?
Yeah, I just go with my interpretation. It's a sun and spirit.
Yeah.
It's all about spirits, right? Spirit world.
Well, see, I'm like, I know people are like, oh, well, but their only other option is Azula, and like she's crazy, so nobody wants her as Fire Lord. And it's like, these are the same people who were fine with Ozai being Fire Lord for 20 years. Like, if they found out that Zuko, who they already don't like, isn't the real deal, then I would totally imagine, like, right, like in real life there would be like a crazy clamoring for power and who controls Azula, and it's like Azula turns into Ares, and then Toph like invades and kills her with the hammer. I don't know, but like
well, it's the Iron Throne.
Like, well, as long as we're speaking about Azula, it's funny that you mentioned Zuko being kind of like Tyrion, because like Azula, she's kind of like a Cersei in this situation. She's coming a little unhinged, and there's an interesting passage where it's near the beginning of the comic where she runs into that little hidey hole where her mother's letters are stored, and she says something to Zuko along the lines of, if you weren't so cowardly or you weren't so afraid all the time, you would have come and played in this hiding hole with me, when we were kids. And it kind of reminds me of I think it's in Feast for Crows. There's a scene with like Cersei's having a flashback, and she's remembering this time where I think she and Jaime were below Casterly Rock, and they kept, I think, animals in cages or a menagerie down there in the caves. And she sticks her hand into the lion's cage, and she lets the lion lick her hand, and Jaime won't do it because he has more common sense than her. And Cersei is convinced that she's like, it showed that I was brave, that I stuck my hand in the lion's cage. And it's like, no, it doesn't show you're brave. It just shows that you're fucking stupid. And like Azula, I just like what they're. It's kind of like an elementary understanding of I don't know, schizophrenia or a mental break or something. But she just reminds me a lot of Cersei. She's this character who feels like power is being taken away from her, but she's so fierce and she wants it back, and she has so much resentment boiling up inside her. And if you see Zuko as Tyrion, like, he wants to love her and he wants to be part of a family, but his family just does not want him in any way. That analogy went way too far and way too long, but that's what I was thinking.
Let's talk more about Azula, I think, in general, which I thought was really interesting in this comic. I mean, one part was the craziness and how she seemed to think that her mother was controlling everything, and she managed to get by her to talk to Ozai. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Part?
Yeah. Yeah, again, it feels like we have to show that this character is like had a mental break, and so we're gonna show it in the way that our target audience would understand, which is I kind of dislike it because I've ranted about this enough. I never saw Azula as being mentally ill or mentally crazy, but I think I find her fixation on her mother very interesting because she says she wants to like end her mother, which is Avatar language for she wants to kill her.
Yeah.
but at the same time, she kind of desperately wants her love. You know, who knows? That's another thing I'm interested in is like, what is going to become of Azula at the end of this comic? You know, either is she going to be killed, or is she going to reconcile herself with her mother and gain some sense of peace with herself? I could see either one happening, and it all comes down to, you know, whether Ursa is alive or not, or what kind of answer Ursa provides for her.
Well, I mean, I feel, don't they say something about like was I don't remember if it was in a preview for this one or whatever, but there was some line about this is not Azula's path. This is like, am I inventing that?
I don't remember that.
Okay, so maybe I have invented. There was this great fan fiction I read. I don't know. But I mean, I did like how like they didn't like. You're right that, you know, visions of Ursa are an easier way to communicate Azula's mental illness and also the crazy eyes. But at the same time, they're not like they didn't say it straight out. Like oh, that's who she's talking about. Like the first time she goes like, how did she get to you? I was like, who? Like he's talking about Katara. Like I had no idea what was going on, and I was like, I guess that's sort of a brave move on Gene Yang's part to write that and not provide an easy explanation. But I mean, I have no idea what's gonna happen to Azula, but like, yeah, it's really interesting. I don't especially have a preference, to be honest, because anything's better than how she ended Avatar, right? So.
Well, she's such a character with potential multiple ways. One is just like her power, right? She's one of the few characters that can challenge Team Avatar, even the Avatar himself. So if because they never had a proper showdown, the two of them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the drill was kind of that episode was
that's true.
boring.
They had that, but it was inconclusive, right? And we don't know like whether her spirit can be energy bent or not.
Oh, she killed him.
Oh, but that was a backstab. Yeah. That was a backstab. Like that wasn't a proper fight.
And left himself open. It's his fault.
She's a really stupid move.
She's so. I kind of gained a new respect and love for her in this comic because she's so fierce still, even though she's broken. And Ty Lee has a great line when she's standing outside of the cell with Zuko, and they've just kind of subdued Azula and left her alone with Ozai. And Ty Lee says, you know, she's wrong. I never lost my fear of her. You know, implying that she's still, you know, scared shitless of what Azula could possibly do. So I don't know.
Can we address her flammable straitjacket, please?
It's firebending. Like all you have to do is breathe. It's impractical. I don't know.
Like I know, like she says that she's been chi blocked for whatever, but like she says that it wears off.
I feel like that's such a fan fiction move. Like whenever somebody has to be incapacitated in Avatar fan fiction, just get a chi blocker in here, numb them up for a few hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's convenient enough that they can just presume that she's not going to run off or lightning them to death in their sleep.
Well, here's the question, though, is why did Aang not try to remove her bending? Like, why not? Is it too risky? Is it improper to do something like that?
I think it was more along the lines of, like, doing that for Ozai was the last resort, and then, like, maybe I think the chi blocking is supposed to represent, like, some sort of, like...
Chi blocking seems worse to me. Like every few hours you're beating her down. Like you just like do one procedure and then she can.
I know, and then
jail
it's
anymore.
Like... But she's still a kid, and I feel like she's a teenager, but I feel like. Yeah, well, still, it's like
Aang's 112.
Okay, well, yeah, sure.
He doesn't remember like any of those years. So.
But taking away someone's bending, even Ozai, it's kind of like you said, Stephanie. It's a last resort, and it feels like kind of a violation. And I think they're careful enough with Jet being the exception. I think they're careful enough with how they handle their children characters that they don't maim anybody. And to me, like it feels like. It's like ripping someone's power away like that. I think they even say that at the beginning of the search, Zuko, I think it's Ty Lee, she asks him, are you sure it's safe to leave Azula and Ozai in the same room? And he says, well, he's had his bending taken away. He can't do anything but talk. It's such a crippling of someone that I don't think that the creators or the writers want to do that to Azula, especially since she's on such this sympathetic streak of being, mentally crippled. Why kick her when she's down?
In terms of storyline, it's better that she's not. I mean, it's a lot more interesting that she has the ability to take anyone one-on-one. But I'm just talking about, like, if it was like a real world, would they have tolerated her keeping it?
No, I think like especially since she's in the equivalent of an insane asylum in like the 19th century Avatar world. No, she would like not be like.
Well, what she's doing now is, I mean, I think the letter is a red herring and all of that, but what's interesting is if they had removed her bending, the red letter could still be critical. Even without bending, she could still have a claim. So it's kind of interesting the way it turned out.
Yeah, I don't think Azula would like have any chance from emotional or mental recovery, whatever that does mean for her, if she had her bending taken away. Like, she would just go catatonic. Like, that's her entire like validation, especially now that she has no political power. But yeah, no, I also think that, like, I mean, also on a story level, like, she can't, like, she has to choose to not use her powers for bad, which to a certain degree she sort of does in the early parts of the search, like when they all start attacking her and she's just like, I'm standing here, yeah, so it's interesting, but it's also like, I'm just thinking of Aang when he took away Yakon's bending in Korra.
Yeah,
like that was an extra last resort there also. So clearly it's something like he is super reluctant to do, because like that wasn't even like we're sentencing you to having your bending taken away. It's we're sentencing you to life in prison, and then tries to kill the Avatar, and then and then he gets his bending taken away.
That was like pure self-defense there. Like, it was no other option to do
right,
that.
Exactly.
So two questions though. The first question is, how difficult is it to take someone's bending away? Because the first time it was barely done. The second time it seemed pretty easy. And what would Azula's will be there? And the second question is, do you think Azula's going to be redeemed by the end of this comic?
Either redeemed or dead, which could be which could be the same thing. Yeah, the same thing. I don't know if they would go so far as to kill her. I can't envision her unless they do something really wonky with like love heals all scars. But I can't. Like, she hugs her mother and everything is okay and they're a big happy family again. I can't see her being in any way a non-violent character, or just an angry character. I don't know. I see her more. She
invents like the, what is that, pro bending, or as an outlet.
She takes over for Cabbage Corp, gets it back on its feet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys think Ursa is going to be, or were they going to find out that Ursa's been dead for a while, or do you think they're going to meet her again?
She's dead.
Yeah, I'm hoping she's dead too.
She's dead, but I think they're going to talk to her in the spirit world, and I think that's like,
Well, they have to bring Roku back in after what happened in The Promise, and kind of told him to fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of had to, though. And it was nice that he was able to stand up against the past there.
That was probably my favorite part of The Promise, which was Aang finally kind of taking a stand and saying, I don't have to listen to you, even though you're my guide. I'm making this decision now that I'm not going to kill anyone. Even in the direst of situations, I'm not going to kill Zuko. I'm not going to kill anyone in the Fire Nation, even if you tell me to, because you're projecting your regrets onto me.
Yeah.
Second time he did that, though. I mean, he did it with Ozai as well. But it's still nice to see it happen again.
Yeah. But I feel like there has to be some kind of reconciliation. And since Ursa is Roku's descendant, I feel like it'll probably be embodied in her in some way. That is interesting. There was a line in one of the flashbacks of the comic where Azula, he's talking to Ursa for the first time, and he's like, it's almost as if Avatar Roku was hiding his bloodline from us. I was like, yeah, he probably was.
Oh, yeah, totally. I actually really liked that situation because, like, I thought that when they were like, oh, someone's here to see you, I was like, oh no, like, Ozai's hunted her down and, like, has this maniac obsession with her. But it was actually Zuko, which, I mean, it's gross, but, like, it made a lot more sense to me that Ozai was also sort of a pawn in the situation. Yeah.
But I understand why they did it like, she's much more a victim in the comic than she was in the show. Where in the show it was kind of just implied that, she even though it was probably an arranged marriage, she grew into it. you know, even if she didn't love him, she kind of accepted it as her role as a queen or fire lady or whatever. And in this, it's, you know, she's at her wedding feast and Ozai leans over and whispers, "You're mine now." And,
Twirling his mustache.
you know, kissing her ear or whatever. It seems a lot more simplified than what the political reality would be. And again, it's because we're Game of Thrones people. We're like, you know, she could learn to love him, you know, with time. Arranged marriages can work. I forget what I was going with this.
Well, no, actually, most of the arranged marriages don't work in Game of Thrones. Like Eddard and Caitlyn are the exception.
Yeah, but I think they're a good exception in that they show that I think that's one of the reasons Caitlyn was always cautioning Robb is, you know, your passions will die out, and it's time that creates love, not, you know, fucking around in the tower.
But sorry, what do you think about the first question though? Like in terms of how easy is it to take someone's bending away? Because it seems to be unless there was a guy, that second guy who got his bending take away. What was his name? Yukon. Like unless his will is like way less than Ozai's or something. Like, is it based on their will or is it like a retro change now?
Well, Aang was much older also.
Much older.
With a lot more experience. Well, I think Stephanie, you can confirm this, but like Bright, they said that basically when the Avatar takes away someone's bending, it's like they're rewriting the chi paths in the body.
I guess.
And
I never heard them say that, but
yeah, I think the way I wish I could remember where I read this, where it's like Amon was severing something in people's brains, whereas the Avatar, he's completely rearranging, you know, the spirit. And so I guess as long as his Aang spirit is stronger than whoever he's, you know, crippling, for lack of a better word, lobotomizing.
Oh, he's removing their taint, right? According to Amon.
Their taint.
Yeah.
He's normalizing them.
I mean, he has to see it as a last resort, because I think he's such a compassionate person. Like, even the way he's treating Azula at the beginning of the search, like he's saying hello to her, like, how was your morning? He's not someone who wants to permanently change somebody against their will. And I think, like you said, I mean, it has to be a last resort where he gave Ozai the chance at the end of the show. He's like, you know, you're done. It's over. And then Ozai went to attack him from behind. And that's when he's like, okay, you know, you had your chance. And it was the same with Yukon. They sentenced him to jail. He escaped and he was too dangerous to let alone. And so he had to take it away. I can't imagine that it was like a situation where Aang was going around to all the prisons and just, you know, debending every single prisoner in there. That would have been catastrophic.
Yeah. Also, like, can we mention that scene where Aang's saying like good morning to Azula is like, when did Iroh become so like
derpy?
Which
not
page was this?
Derpy. Like, why was he? When did he become so concerned about Azula's well-being? Like,
he never shows it in the show, does he?
Exactly. That's like, what the fuck? You know, like, I think like it's like really. I think Iroh's a little unreliable when it comes to Azula. So a lot of people. I think a lot of people think like him saying like she's crazy and needs to go down is like takes it as like the end all be all. Like, yeah, she does do like indefensible things during the show, but like I think a lot of people just like oversimplify that.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think he cares about her in a familial way, and that she is his niece. He doesn't want to see her come to harm, but I never got the impression that he had any affection for her.
Yeah,
the way he does for Zuko.
I don't remember.
Yeah, now he's all talking about her finding her inner peace. Like, what?
Well, that's just Iroh talk. Like, he wants everyone to find their inner peace.
Yeah, he's just high on the tea.
Dank ass.
Well, what is he having with the tea, right? Some sort of brownie.
That's true. No, that for me, like, it was a switch, but I imagine Iroh was like, the interesting thing about Iroh is that he tries to be like I guess we sort of have an inkling that his compassionate nature is not his default setting. So I think that that's something he works on, and that Azula in her current condition deserves, especially because, like, I mean, she's so like, part of the reason she's such a powerful character at this point is because she's so pathetic, but she's still so dangerous. And it's you know, it's really interesting to look at. So to me, that made sense. That, like, I would have liked to see a little more interaction with them, like see how Iroh would like interact with her. But yeah,
like,
bothered.
Yeah, like the only other Iroh Azula interaction we've ever had was him sending her a doll and her burning it. So, yes, good for her.
Also, she lightning bolted him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Through the chest. Yeah, again, I think it's just purely royal family obligation. You know, he is Tywin sending out soldiers for 2 years looking for Tytik Lannister, wet nurse, who's never going to be found because he's dead in a gutter somewhere. That has nothing to do with Azula, but it's family obligation.
Iroh's kind of like the Kevin of the family.
He is. He's more practical. He's not as warlike and fiery.
Yeah, but I realized that there are major issues with being okay with Kevin as a character, which made me really sad because I like him a lot. But
what's wrong with Kevin?
Well, I mean, like,
isn't it more like he really just thought that Ozai or that Tywin had the right idea most of the time? That's why he never really.
And also he just
himself.
But like, whether I actually kind of disagree with you, I think he was just making his life easier. I think he knew that fighting against Tywin wasn't going to bring anything, so he just like made himself okay with like, all right, I'll go give the order to murder and rape thousands of innocent people who have no idea and no way to defend themselves. Like, I mean, all the personal this is so off topic, but like the personal interactions with Kevin, I really like, but when you look at like the effect that his character has created, like he doesn't even say like, are you sure we have to retaliate this way? Like maybe they can just burn some crops, like nothing, you know?
Yeah, well, sure. It's the problem of being favoring any of the generals that are playing in the war. It's like, I forget who wrote the article for Tower of the Hand, but there was an interesting article about the Blackfish and why he's an asshole.
It's probably
on some level.
Stefan.
Yeah, for how he treated the small folk and how he persisted in the war when surrendering would have been better for everyone.
He was predicting the TV show Blackfish with that article. That's what he was
the
doing.
Douche, yeah, the douchefish. Rob's lick spittle. He just keeps kissing ass. Yeah.
At least he didn't do that in that episode.
There was a lot of ass to kiss in that episode.
Not enough Rob ass.
All right.
No, not enough Rob dick.
Well, he's no Alfie Allen. Like, he's not going to agree to that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so cheated though.
Okay.
It's so funny. Like they never do like with Brienne. I'm pretty sure that was a butt double.
It was,
Whatever. But they never try that for full like the front of dudes. And it's like, do you think we'd recognize anything? Like,
no, it's to make sure the audience doesn't look at the guy too much because the male viewers might think, "Ooh, I might be gay."
Oh dear.
Yeah, Rob gets up and puts on a robe, and Talisa wiggles her butt. Attack! Like, like what the fuck was that?
Anyways, let's get back.
What are we talking about?
T-Bent. Yeah, I think she could be. I think her will could be overcome by Aang. I mean, like, if you can overcome a genocidal maniac high on his own power like Ozai, you can depend Azula.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want to mention the parallel where Zuko sees like Sokka helping out his sister, like putting the blanket, and he tries to do the same.
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then that's how he finds the letter.
Yeah. Like, oh, Katie wasn't. He was like, oh yeah, she'll be gone by morning.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Let's let her sleep at the edge of the campfire in the dark trees where none of us can see.
Maybe the Hound will show up and grab her. So.
I don't know. Who is the Hound of the Avatar universe?
Ekem.
Smeller bee.
Oh, they need one.
It was a genuinely touching moment, though. I mean, he's trying for something that he's probably not going to get.
And it felt so like touchingly unnatural. Like every time he tries to be nice to Azula, it's sort of like, wait, this is what a nice person. Not that Zuko's not a nice person, but he has no like comparison for this kind of behavior. So it's like, this is what I should do. Like, I should take the wheelchair and push her, and I should put a blanket on her. And, it's like, I found it charmingly robotic.
I love that he's just so unequipped to deal with anything relating to his family. After, like, ascending the throne, he's like, wait, I shouldn't keep my sister in a Like, I shouldn't not visit my sister.
Yeah. Right, like that speech is what wakes him up to it. It's like, oh hey, Azula's been in a mental institution for whatever months, and
It's been like a year.
yeah.
I feel like Bright just has an affinity for there's always like every series. It's like there's the good siblings and then there's the bad siblings. And with the bad siblings, there's always the question of like, to what do I owe this person? And I don't know, that for me that's a powerful question. That's why the search is so much more interesting than the promise.
Yeah, I think that's coming in Korra. By the way, I think that's gonna be. I mean, it already was, but I think that's gonna be like Korra's uncle.
Her evil uncle.
Yeah, he's so like skeevy looking, and like her spiritual development. It sounds like
Unalak.
a
Like,
setup.
why couldn't that be Tenzin? And also, why did her uncle have to be a dude?
Yeah, they don't have enough cool.
Well, I mean,
What?
if he's an uncle.
I mean, you know what I mean. Her mentor.
I know.
I know what you mean.
It's the old grizzled man thing again. Yeah. I don't know. He's hotter, shorter Tarlock, and that's all I can see.
Yeah, like, how's he gonna think about like, is he gonna be like, who appoints the representatives or something?
I don't know. I don't feel like we're ever gonna find out. It's such a shitty political system.
Be like, oh hey, I only appointed the guy who like bloodbent and kidnapped you. Sorry about that.
Maybe we'll get a flashback to his banquet dinner with the representative from the Northern Tribe. I can hey, I have nothing left. My two characters, they're dead. They're fucking dead.
Oh.
Oh, we don't know if Amon is dead. So
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
he saw what was going on. He jumped off. He's going to be the Hound now, right? Half his face is going to be turned off.
I don't know. They'll find him living on
trying to be an air nomad. That's what he's gonna do.
No, he's gonna be the patch face. He's gonna wash up on the shores. I know. Oh.
I'm imagining Steve Blum saying that. I know.
So we're looking at the document here. There's, I guess, talking about both comics, sexual tension. So the Zuko and Suki, they have sexual tension.
Yeah.
Like,
she even has a Freudian slip in the search.
She
yeah?
does.
What does she say?
Yeah.
It's, let's
like
see.
we were so worried about you or something.
Yeah.
I wondered. I read that because I saw that again, and I wondered, one, either they're trying to continue the sexual tension for some reason, or two, that's her kind of like reminding herself, oh yeah, maybe he'll take this the wrong way, and then correcting herself. But I lean towards the former in that it's in every single issue of The Promise. Like, I was so worried about you. You look so lonely out there on the battlefield.
She's guarding his bedside every night. So.
Yeah. With Tylee.
She's up for anything, so.
I don't know. I know a lot of the shippers out there think, Sokka and Suki, they're destined for each other, but she's such like temporary girlfriend material. Like she's like the girl you would date over the summer, and then she'd maybe dump you when you went back to school or something. I can't see her being like Sokka's wife when he grows up,
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, she dated even like Foamy or whatever, right? So she might be looking for something, didn't she?
Yeah.
Like at the same time, though, I can't see, especially after that May comic, I can't see Zuko and May not getting back together at some point.
Yeah. It was actually really sweet because she never like said Zuko. She never like, you should read it, I mean, but it was really like for an 8-page comic, very subtly done. And for a comic in general. And it wasn't
broken
like,
up during that comic. Like she went on a date, right, or what?
Yeah.
She went on a date with some guy. It was kind of like when Zuko went on a date when he was in Ba Sing Se. Someone comes into the shop and his. Well,
this is after the war though when she did that.
Well, this is when they're having the fight in The Promise because she leaves him in The Promise.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they have that fight. Not really a fight, but she basically she's done with him because he's been keeping secrets from her. And so she says, when you're ready to be honest, I think that's her line. She's like, maybe I'll come back. And she goes, and it's in the little comic. It says, she goes and she works at her aunt's flower shop. and she's thinking of Zuko because I think her aunt asks after him, and she doesn't say anything, but she's making a sad flower arrangement. And at the end, she gives up her family for him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping. I wish they hadn't done that comic because I was going to say that Suki isn't a Toph, but it's a step in the right direction in terms of Earth. Somebody from the Earth Kingdom, which I think is more appropriate. If we're talking about like arranged marriages, he's got to put his needs aside and get somebody from the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know. I don't think they're into that in Avatar land. I mean, Bright, they were going to have Azula have an arranged marriage, and they wrote that out of their final draft.
Oh, really? Like, you mean during the show?
The show.
Or? Yeah.
Yep.
With who?
No,
I have no idea.
it was in the commentary.
It was going to be Zhao.
No.
I don't think he was high enough yet in the politics. Like, he was aiming. He was kind of like a militant Littlefinger in some way. He was aiming for the top, but he wasn't there.
No, he was desperate. He was kind of let his passions rule him.
He was climbing the ladder of chaos.
Oh, fuck that metaphor. What does that even mean? You can't put a ladder in a pit of chaos. No.
It's not a pit. It's a
ladder.
I was listening to like another podcast, and they were saying it was like something from Mad Men, like a Don Draper pitch for advertising, like chaos, a ladder.
Back
to your new
sexual tension. I don't know why. I'm trying to look through the comic here. Like, I wrote down that I saw Azula Sokka tension, but I can't find anything here. I don't know what.
Oh, when he's keeping his in like the invasion, when like she like jumps over him in that like earth wall.
Well, that was
and then like
the show.
Putting her.
I guess that count as
in
that.
In
the comic,
like he's also like pushing his boomerang in her face, and she's like, "Get this shit out of my face."
He's like, "Look at my Water Tribe weapon."
Well, I think like he like Sokka understandably is just like, yeah, I don't trust this bitch, and then she's like, get that shit out of my face, because at that point she hasn't even lifted a finger to like threaten him.
Mm.
Oh yeah, you look at his expression in his face when he's whipping his.
He's so eager.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just Sokka in general, is that he's easily pairable with all the ladies.
Well, you did say that there was that scene in the show itself, which is also very minor, but
where she flies over his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's more tension here, but I can't find it. Is that it? It was just the boomerang, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, and when he had her against the wall.
Oh, does he?
Oh yeah.
Where?
In the show he does. When he's asking, well, he's demanding, where is Suki?
But still,
like Mihal, you're still rooting for Taka, right?
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Yes, it is. Shut up. It's perfect. Suki.
Yeah,
I think
work that out. you can.
Like Suki just doesn't really have any character flaws. I mean, like, I know she's a side character, but like if everyone's like so intent on like keeping her in like Team Avatar.
Yeah, I know, and she's like a little older, a little cooler, a little like just. It's sort of like, why does she hang around these people?
Yeah, she has more common sense, and she's like, "Wow, y'all suck. You always lose."
Yeah, sorry, gotta go fix my face paint.
Would you be disappointed then, or not? I mean, putting May aside, let's say May wasn't an issue. Talking about the other relations, if Suki went with Zuko and like there was a fallout, would you be disappointed by that, or would that be interesting?
I would be interested. Because as much as I like Zuko and May, and I think they're going to stick together, it would be unexpected. I mean, it would be something new. You know, I could work.
Yeah, it happens to be. I feel like Zuko could use some earth in his life. You know, like he needs that ground.
The earth will move for him.
It's just like he's so, I mean, I love him and May, but like they do kind of operate on the same wavelength, and I feel like he needs a little difference, and Iroh tries to be that with the whole like whatever
mellow,
teeness, but
Top is the best combination. Just saying.
They get an adventure in the end of the.
Can we just talk about how ridiculously easy it is to write Toph out of any script ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, she went back to the metal bending school because we didn't have more than 5 people in our party at the same time. Yeah, that makes sense.
I get it. Like, I think it would have been a crowded comic if she'd been in there, because she is like, if she had been there and hadn't been doing her Toph thing, it would have been wrong, you know. So I'd almost like rather not have her there. You know, but and I really do like the moment when they're all like, "We miss Toph," you know, because that felt very genuine to me. Because like, it's like, yeah, we're on another adventure, but like, it's Azula instead of Toph.
I mean, I guess I would rather her not be there than have to suffer through another metal bending school thing like in The Promise. That was the worst.
Let's open up conversation to The Promise as well if we're looking at the list here.
Yeah.
Anything you want to
Sure.
talk?
Why didn't she even teach them to see with her feet? I'm still really confused on that. Like,
because they're not blind.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like, that's the first thing she does when she starts to teach Aang.
Well, okay, that's true. Maybe she had. I think we talked about this before. How she's just kind of a shitty teacher, you know. And the comic doesn't. The comic skirts around that and finds, you know, Deus Ex. Not really Deus Ex. It finds convenient ways for them to learn metal bending, her students. But in general, like, she doesn't really. I mean, how old is she supposed to be? Like 10 or something?
Like
I mean,
13.
like
she's like Aang's age, so 13.
Okay, like 12 or 13. I mean, she's kind of blunt. She's not terribly empathetic. She had a hard enough time getting Aang around to her point of view. So it makes sense that she doesn't know how to connect with them as students. She just barks at them and they don't really know what to do. But then again, they're really shitty characters. So that's part of it. Those three. I mean, they don't have names.
What's this euthanasia thing in here from Gene
What?
Yang? Like, I'm looking at the document here.
Oh, that was from when, like, the whole thing of Zuko asking Aang to kill him. But, like, if somebody asks you to kill them, is that murder? And what does Buddhism say about that? And, like, so how does that inform what Aang does? Yeah.
It was. I mean, I felt like he came to a really solid conclusion at the end, which was, you know, Roku, I understand where you're coming from and your history with Sozin, but I have to do things. It's a new world. It's a new kind of society we're living in. I have to do things my way based on my experience. And my experience tells me not to kill anyone. And so, you know, maybe I don't want to say he would have been in the right to kill Zuko, but, you know, he made a choice that was his. And that was, I think, what part of what The Promise was all about, which was kind of characters finding their own stride and kind of being willing to take risks in their new positions of power. And for Aang, it was not only just opening his culture up to the would-be acolytes, but also standing up to Roku and saying, no, I'm going to be my own avatar. And so I felt like that was a really solid conclusion. I didn't give it enough credit at the time, but I feel like it is now.
Yeah, I thought the third comic really wrapped things up well. I mean, after the first one, I was a little bit worried he was going to simplify things too much. But yeah, overall, it was okay.
I mean, he simplifies it as much as he can because it's, you know, it's Avatar politics, which are not, you know, terribly complicated.
Oh.
Well, I think what we were kind of saying the last time we talked about it was that, like, the bottom line is the problem is that the world is run by 12-year-olds, and, like, that's just not gonna, like, the problems can be as complicated as they want, but if you're writing for a 12-year-old audience-ish, then you can't solve problems created by 12-year-olds in a way that would be solved by adults.
Right. I think the one of the more mature or adult insert moments is when it's in the third issue when Aang, I forget, he's talking to one of the Earth generals outside of the walls, and the Earth general tells him, you know, you could end this whole thing if you just cut the head off the snake. And he kind of points to Zuko, and to me that felt like a very adult perspective. Like if you remove the leader from the army, then this whole thing is going to fall apart. And you know, maybe that's what the general would do. But Aang, being 12 or 13 years old, he's not willing to commit to murder. You know, if ever, but especially not at that point in his life.
Yeah, it's not exactly the best move either, because Zuko's the only guy that keeping control from the Fire Nation side.
Right.
Some other fanatic will just take over.
Yeah, like if he'd killed if he had killed Ozai back during like the eclipse, like Azula would have taken charge. The Fire Sages, like who really wants them in charge?
I don't know. Are you saying like the Fire Sages would become like the new High Septon?
Yeah, or like, or like, you know, like, or like, yeah, or some like noble who I don't know. There's like too much uncertainty in how it could play out. So like,
well, the Fire Nation has been an empire for like 100 years. There's probably somebody there that would just take it over. Like it took somebody special like Zuko to turn it around. Like it's not like suddenly going to disappear. The machinery of war is still there, and it can take a while to change that culture.
I was pretty sympathetic to him because like he's in a really bad spot because he's trying to adhere to like this harmony restoration movement, which has been kind of sloppily thrown together without much foresight. But at the same time, he's the Fire Lord. His responsibility is first to the Fire citizens. And so when he realizes that he can't just uproot people from Udao like the other colonies have been uprooted, well, who is he loyal to? Is he loyal to the Avatar? Is he loyal to the Restoration Movement? Or is he loyal to his people? And ultimately, he decides, I have to represent my people in this, whether, it goes against my previous commitments. And I think that was more realistic in that, if you're going to be a leader, you're going to disappoint somebody and you're going to upset somebody and you're going to piss off a lot of people. But ultimately, you have to be willing to champion some cause somewhere. And for him, that was like, okay, I will keep Udao as it is. I will protect my people come what may. I mean, like, granted, communication is really shitty in the comic, and so people make rash decisions. But I don't know. I felt like people were, the other characters were being really unfair to him and saying, Zuko has lost his mind. He's becoming just like Ozai. We're going to have to kill him. It's like, no, he's a leader. He's making hard choices. He's almost been assassinated 6 times.
He's got like 0 hours of sleep. Cut this guy a break, please.
Yeah. Well, also, like, the biggest plot hole, not really plot hole, but the biggest kind of what the fuck in the whole thing is he's not willing to talk to Iroh about it. And that he's like, I can't send a letter to Iroh, who's running his tea shop and, farting his hours away in Ba Sing Se, because I have to be my own man and I have to walk my own path. And it's like, man, you need a council or something. I mean, I don't think Ozai. I mean, not Ozai. I don't feel like Iroh would mind if you send him a letter like, "Hello, I'm about to, spiral our world into another war. Could you give me some advice?" Yeah. I don't think he would mind.
Send a raven.
Yeah. Send a raven.
Yeah. Do you have any other comments here on either comic?
Yeah, Jin Yang was going to bring Jet back.
What?
This is a travesty.
What?
He was going to bring Jet back, and this is the worst thing to happen because you know what? If Jet had come back, he would have. I bet you anything he would have interacted with Zuko again.
Jet wants the Z.
Yes, the Z.
He wants the Z. That's stupid. I mean, that confirmed him dead.
I know, but like, I'm just like.
Yeah, it would have been table flip, I guess.
Yes, but it would have been so awesome and so
shippy.
Yes.
I don't know. He has no right to bring kids back from the dead. Like that's the one instance of the show of like them having a lot of nerve and deciding, we're gonna kill one of our kid characters and it's gonna be awful and tragic. That would be terrible.
I know, it's just the shipper in me.
So do you think overall, though, that Jin Yang has done a fair enough job with adapting this?
Yeah, I think he gets more shit than he deserves from a lot of the Tumblrites. But Mihal and Steph and I, we talked about this before, how when we read the comics, we can hear the characters' voices in our heads. And so that's usually, a good sign. And I feel like a lot of the jokes, some of them don't really cross mediums very well, but others of them, it's like I could see this being in the animated series. I could see, this punchline falling, in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think he's gone.
Oh, so we kind of talked about it in the forum. I mean, if it's only like that Western animation was more developed or more open to things like OVAs, it would be nice to original video, like to see like a video of this.
Yeah.
They actually, Break actually pitched a movie about Zuko's mom for TV alongside Korra. Or I think it was either or Korra. So they decided, or Nick decided to go for just Korra.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah, no, just cue the angry fans, though.
Korra haters to the left.
No, I am very happy we have Korra. I love Korra so much, but
Me too.
It's better to move on. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I had some not issues necessarily, but like I didn't find that the promise read as smoothly as the search, like I said earlier. But in general, yeah, I think he's doing a good job. I think it's a really tough job, also, especially because like I listened to an interview with him and he said like the main thing that is hard for him is, or one of the things is keeping the page count at what it has to be, because he doesn't have a choice. Like they tell him how many pages it is, so he has to fit everything into a certain number of pages. And I felt like the search did that really well. Like I felt like when I was coming to the end, like it felt like I was coming to the end. It didn't feel especially rushed. And the promise was more of a cram job, it felt to me. But
yeah, see, for the search, I actually felt like, oh, another crazy scheme by Azula, another crazy thing. It's like that was the only thing that they could like do to have conflict in the gang, except like because like the gang is so close, but like.
Yeah, but it's mostly it's Zuko and Azula's story at this point. It would be weird if Zuko and Katara started fighting again or something.
Yeah, but like it's just like it's the same thing. It's always Azula trying to escape, and then like, which I'm sympathetic to. I mean, like if I was in a mental institution for a year, I'd want to be out.
Well, she's also, what's interesting to me is that like it's not just Azula trying to escape, it's Azula trying to get to her goal. Like she has a very clear directive here, and it's like it's easy to lose track of in the crazy eyes and the visions and everything, but she knows what she's doing. And so it's like, for me, it wasn't
Sure.
as much of a like yeah, from the other characters' perspectives it feels like, oh, we're doing this again, but from her perspective it's like, well, it's just another attempt at achieving her goal.
True.
What do you think is going to happen to this spirit world wolf thing?
It's very Miyazaki, and like Frank have always gone on record saying they've been really inspired by Miyazaki. And even when the gang is walking into the forest, they see these stones that have these kind of circular faces on them. It's like, I mean, that's straight out of Princess Mononoke, the little the forest sprites.
Yeah.
The circular little faces. And even like the wolf that vomits butterflies and stuff, that feels very Miyazaki inspired. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. It seems like I was rereading the issue, and there seems to be a lot of implied lore in the beginning when Ursa is talking to Akeem, and they're talking about the dragon spirit that was put on Earth by the water spirit, and like the whole plot around the play of the Love 'Em on the Dragons or whatever, and the masks. I feel like there's probably more to that than comes through in that first issue that might come back later.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think what the second I read like whatever line it is that they're saying like, oh, dark spirit, dark water spirit or something, and I was like, and one of the characters from next season is supposed to be called the dark spirit, so I'm like, I wonder if that's the same thing, and like I don't know, like there's no way to know, but
yeah, apparently there's like some octopus spirit too. Like IGN did apparently got some inside scoop.
Yeah, I saw that. It pissed me off to no end. Ugh, you don't understand. I'm like, I just, well, cause I write about Korra for Hypable, and like, it's like every time there's something new, it's like, this is not news. Like, stop giving us this non anything. It's really annoying. And then people comment, it's like, why isn't there any news about Korra? It's like, because there is no news about Korra.
I mean, a few weeks ago we got a bunch, but nothing about the new season. It was all art books and DVDs and stuff. Which is, I mean, it's exciting in itself. The art book looks amazing.
It's like, why aren't there any action figures for Korra? I want a Korra action figure. I'm still upset that there's not a Katara action figure. So.
Well, Mihal and I have talked about this before. It feels like Nickelodeon just doesn't know how to handle a fandom like this, or a fandom of this size.
I mean, like, yeah, but I mean, like, even within like stuff you can usually count on a children's show to have, like,
there's not a lot
figures.
It's weird. There's not a lot of merch for Avatar, considering
it's like all overpriced crap. It's like a $20 mouse pad and like
who has a mouse anymore?
Mako skateboard. Like, who the fuck wants that?
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have the soundtrack released for the original series.
Do you have any other final comments here?
I got none.
No.
Good. So whenever Korra does come out, then we'll get back
Also
to
the
reviews.
I guess the bending doesn't really translate to the comic that well.
No, the action doesn't quite work. Well, whatever.
Well, I prefer comic over nothing, right? There's still
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of it, so.
Oh yeah.
Do we know when the second issue is coming out? June?
It's coming out in July, like early July, I think, in comic book stores, and then late July or early August in general booksellers.
Sweet.
Good.
Yeah. And then the last one's coming out. Oh no, they didn't say it, I don't think.
Probably in like September or something.
Yeah.
Isn't that when like How the Promise got released?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just here's the final thing, I guess. Predict when Korra will come out. I think September. Fall.
Never.
I'll go with November.
Hmm.
I'll go late. I don't know how TV seasons run, but I'll go with November.
I'm gonna say that Nickelodeon are fucking stupid and they're gonna push it off until January.
No.
No, cause no, I actually think it's gonna be around September, but in my heart I kind of anticipate them being like, "Hey guys, Korra's back just in time for the new year," and it's gonna be like, "Who the hell cares?" Like, I hate them.
Yeah, though pestering the voice. Apparently, people have been pestering the voice actors. Just
What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they
Stop.
already did their job for season 3.
Yeah.
yeah,
Their
and
job.
like they did ADR for the second season, which makes me think that there's like the animation is pretty done because that's like after the animation, like or like they're doing retakes
Mhm.
of the animation. So, like, who the hell knows? If
Yeah, well-
I think it's just Nick and like saying let's not do that because like I think they were when book 1 was airing they were doing retakes like up until like the release date for an episode.
Wow.
And that makes sense because they did Korra book 1 was supposed to like come out in like September of like 2012, so
And it's so annoying also because they, like their response to any like questions is not like it's just not polite. Like every time like the Nickelodeon Twitter, like, don't get me wrong, I think that people should be adult about it even though it's a kid's show, but like the people will ask the Twitter account for Nickelodeon like when's it coming out, and they'll be like, we don't know yet, it's not done. Like, for crap's sake, like this is one of your highest rated shows. Like
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have to go, man?
Yeah.
the network in general like could. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm not mad at Nickelodeon.
We're not happy
and,
with
they
the
could
release
keep us informed.
management of this thing. That's obviously
No, we're not.
more details.
join the club.
Visit podcastoficeandfire.com/forum/other stuff for.
We are chatting about it in the forums, and we have a Tumblr now. So
Thanks for coming and talking with us.
it was good.
I mean, you said you wanted to just mention something about other anime or something in the email.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll just send you a list of anime or check out the list that I've watched in the forum to see if it overlaps, and then you can join us for another episode.
Yeah, that. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I'd love to talk about Batman Beyond.
That's my gas. Someday we'll talk about DS9. I still want to do that.
Yeah. So just check out the Bastards of Kingsgrave subforum to take a look there and see what we have planned.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Okay.
All
right. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Blue. Okay. I think that's it. All right. Oh, how are you?
Good. I'm annoyed with Skype. I was having trouble getting into it.
Oh, we've been hanging out for about 30 minutes.
Okay,
I'm recording, so.
Good. I am as well. Just
You
looking.
drove her to the bottle.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty smashed right now. I'm not gonna lie. I can pull through. Put me in, coach. So how did you want to run this thing?
I want to get my files open here, that document, and then we want to talk about, I guess, just the both comics, right? Although it's been a while since I've read the first one.
Yeah,
Me too.
The search is much more fresh in my mind.
Okay, so do we want to start with the search and then move backwards, or are we going to start with the promise? Or...
I think we could start with the search, and then like if the discussion warrants it, we can sort of get back to promise.
Okay. Let's see what I have written down. It's been a while since I looked at this.
Did you want to start with maybe a lemon cake scale or something?
Yeah. Lemon cakes.
Do you want to do an intro or?
Yeah, I'll do an intro. Just looking at the episode number here.
By the way, I mean, I really appreciate your equanimity about Game of Thrones because I was worried.
What do you mean?
Like, you're very fair on the recent podcast, and I appreciate that because it enables me to listen.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to do an introduction, and then we'll just jump into that. So is this officially a comic or a graphic novel? It's comic, right? That's what it.
Is there a difference?
No, but like I mean, just I want to use a proper name for it. I don't know. What do they call it? They market it as a comic, right?
Yes,
I think. Yeah. But I don't know. Dark Horse seems more of a graphic novel type of publishing feel.